All right, what's going on, fam? If you can hear me, put a 1 in there. Put a 1 in the comments, put a 1 in there so I know you're hearing me. And then we're going to get going because it's late and I know you guys got questions and you want to go to bed. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so we're going to get going. It's 9 o'clock. People are going to come in as they come in. Here's a little bit about me, why people are possibly going to be coming in, probably coming in late. My name is James Lamar. And my background is in exercise science and sports management. My bachelor's is in exercise science. My master's is in sports management. And I ran a weight loss camp. So my specialty is health and wellness. And eventually we're going to get into that as it pertains to families. Now, as it pertains to relationship things, I've actually had my go in the court system. And like many other men and women do. And I've developed a passion for helping people with their families. And men's leadership is what we're talking about today. And the leadership as it pertains to dating, marriage, divorce, and how that impacts societal safety, which is basically crime. That's what we're talking about, crime. And when we lack leadership, when leadership is lacking, we end up with these problems. And men's leadership is so important to the point where men have been taken out of the homes. And they're not taking men out of the home because of the money. The money, that's just something that they get you with on the end. They take the man out the home because the man is a threat to actual order. In fact, it's a threat to disorder. Because the system, the family court system understands when the man is in the home that there's order and he aids in stability of the home. And that when I say aid, we're talking about accountability, emotional stability, and discipline within the home, which is hard for women to do by themselves. But when you remove the man, it adds chaos to society. And of course, the divorce situation, going from divorce, when we're getting when we're getting fatherless homes due to divorce, what we do is we get societal safety issues. Now, when it comes to leadership is a ship. So that means what somebody is really doing with leadership is they have people that are with them that are going in the same direction. So you're basically creating carbon copies of yourself. And today we're talking about polygamy has begot polyandry. But what leadership does is create carbon copies. When we look at Hitler, see, leadership is so powerful that you can use it for good and to build, or you can use it for evil and disorder. So when leadership is used properly, we get the right societal outcomes. But leadership is powerful whether we use it for good or bad. And men need to understand that their leadership is extremely important. If you look at Hitler, the SS guards that were with him, they were just as evil as he was. They weren't different. They weren't kind, nice people. They were evil people. That's because he made carbon copies of himself. That's the power of leadership. Martin Luther King, he didn't believe in violence. So the majority of people that were with him, they didn't believe in violence either. He made carbon copies of himself. And women they really want leadership. They really desire leadership. And if they're not getting leadership from the man, they will get it from their female friends. If you notice that within a female setting, that there's always either one alpha chick and everybody within that group will follow that female. They go to the bathroom with her. They ask her for advice. You might even see them go on Riddick and they're asking for advice on different things on TikTok. They air all their laundry on TikTok. The bottom line is women want leadership. And if they're not getting it from the man, they'll get it from their female friends through advice. And if they're not getting it through their female friends, then they'll get it through a cat. It doesn't even matter. They just want and desire leadership. And men, we really have to understand that our leadership is very impactful and as it pertains to correcting the societal issues that we have and dating, marriage, and divorce. And it all starts with leadership. But we need to really understand how this works. We really need to go into our past because history will repeat itself if we don't learn from it. So we need to understand what we have done and where we are right now. And what we've done has been just about the same. And we're going to find out. See, there's been this narrative that men can do whatever they want to do. The issue with that is that women follow that example. So what I'm going to do is impossible to talk about relationships and all these different things while involving some spirituality in here. So in order for us to understand where we're going to go with marriage, dating, relationship, and how that corresponds to a weak society, a criminal society, and a society that we have issues with safety and crime, we have to understand the family dynamics and what has happened in the past. So in order for us to get into it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 examples within the Bible. And I know you guys don't want to talk about the Bible, but let me tell you something. The stuff in the Bible, I'm also going to back with some research as well. So what we're going to see is those who are Christians here, you're going to actually see 3 Bible examples concerning polygamy and leadership. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 examples based on research as it pertains to leadership as well. And so you get a mix of both. So the first example that I'm going to give to you as it pertains to leadership and polygamy and how it has affected societal safety and divorce is Genesis 29. Now, in Genesis 29, this is Jacob. Now, Jacob is an interesting guy because he actually stole Esau, his brother's birthright. And what happened was, and we're talking about polygamy now, okay? I want y'all to understand how powerful our leadership is with the things that we do. What Jacob did is he took the birthright and he had to flee. So he fled from his home and he went to his uncle's house, Laban. Now Laban now was his uncle, and when he got there, he saw 2 women. And he went to Laban and he says, I want Rachel. But there was Leah and Rachel. But he didn't want Leah. Leah she didn't look too good. But Rachel, she looked good. She was beautiful. And he said to Laban, give me Rachel. So Laban said, listen, I'll give you Rachel, but what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to work for me for 7 years. So he worked for Laban for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years, what happened was he ended up getting Leah. And so Jacob goes back to Laban and says, what happened? You said that I was going to get Rachel. And Laban said to him, no, Leah is the older daughter and Rachel is the younger daughter. So you have to marry the older daughter first. He wanted to get that older one out the way. And so Jacob ends up marrying Leah, and then he goes back to Laban and says, listen, I want Rachel. And so he says, listen, if you want Rachel as well, that's fine, but you're going to have to work for me another 7 years. So all in all, to get Rachel, the beautiful one, he had to work 14 years to finally get that woman. And once he finally got her, he was happy about it. But what happened was Leah was able to give him 7 sons, and Rachel was only able to give him 2 sons. In fact, she had problems with her pregnancy. And when that happened, there became jealousy because Leah had 7 sons, and Rachel could only have 2, but all after a long period of time, seeing Leah already had children. Rachel had 2 children, and one of them was Joseph. He's the boy that wore the coat of many colors. And what happened is Joseph went to the other 7 boys of the unpopular wife and said to them that I will be ruling over you. And he told them that he had this dream that I would be over you guys and you guys would be submitting to me. And if you can imagine Leah's unfavorite son, and she's the unfavorite wife, having the favorite son go to them and say that, listen, I'm going to be ruling over you. So Leah's sons were jealous of Joseph. And what they did was they took Joseph, put him in a pit. They sold him into slavery. And they took his coat, soaked it in blood, went back to the dad and told the dad that Joseph had died, that some wild animal had taken him and he had died. So Jacob was extremely sad. But what happened was he was sold into slavery. And because of that polygamous relationship and the jealousy that actually happened within those 2 people, because of that jealousy, Jacob, the father, did not see Joseph again for another 25 years. He was sold into slavery at age 17, and he finally met up with his dad again at about age 44. And that was the result of that polygamous relationship. That's the first one, Genesis 29. All right, the second example. I said I was going to give you 3 examples. So now here's the second example of polygamy. We're talking about Abraham and his one wife, Sarah. Now, this is an interesting situation because this is where Abraham actually decided to listen to his wife. See, Sarah had a hard time getting pregnant. And so what she told Abraham to do is to sleep with the mistress or the slave wife. And so Abraham, Sarah's husband, slept with Hagar and had a son in place of Sarah. Now, Sarah was supposed to have a son, and God told her that she would have a son and that he would be the descendants would number the sands of the sea. But Sarah didn't believe that was going to happen because she was 85 years old. And so she told Abraham to go into the maidservant and have a child with him. But that maidservant's child, whose name was Ishmael, once she had that son, Sarah was jealous of her maidservant's son. And she told Abraham to make them leave. Once they left, God promised Hagar, who had Ishmael, that was thrown out the house, promised her that, listen, the same promise that I'm going to give to Sarah is a promise I'm going to give to you as well. Hagar ended up being blessed as well through the son, and she had a large nation. Soon Sarah got pregnant and she had Isaac, and he became a big nation as well. But now remember, when Hagar left, the next time that Abraham actually saw that son Ishmael, he never saw him. What happened is at his burial, the next time in the Bible that comes up is when he was actually buried. Ishmael shows up later on at his dad's funeral. And that's the result of a polygamous relationship. Two people having sons and children for one man, and the jealousy and the crime that actually went on in the home, keeping separation. Okay, that's the second example. Now, this third example, I'm going to give to the rich men. And it's very important for me to do this because, see, rich men believe that because they have money,